evening, Graham Rawlins with our midweek edition of News Geelong. It has been a changing scene along the Breakwater Road as work on its realignment by Vic Roads nears completion. The G21 Geelong Regional Alliance continues to work effectively in and around Geelong with many projects in the system. And from the world of Geelong sport, Mitch Scoop Cleary updates us with the latest from the local Geelong football season opening round. While from the weather world, we'll bring you the Geelong and Surf Coast area weather forecast expected over the next 6 days. Established in 2002, the G21 Geelong Regional Alliance is a formal alliance of government, business and community organisations that have come together to improve people's lives in the southwest region of Geelong and surrounds. Ian Nichols reports.
Well, here we are on the Geelong waterfront for a very special afternoon. It's a forum being put on by G21 for their stakeholders, and the Regional Alliance, of course, does an enormous amount of work around Geelong.
We are unveiling our new brand today for G21, the Geelong Regional Alliance, but most importantly, we're bringing together the region's civic and business leaders to really talk about some issues surrounding our Geelong region. We're delighted to have Minister Simon Crean joining us today, the Minister for Regional Development. We're lucky to have him here. He's a friend of Geelong. Our keynote speaker is Terry McCran, the senior columnist for the Herald Sun and the Australian newspaper. So we're very interested in his views about the economy and where it's heading, which of course is really important to our region as we see some of our manufacturing under threat with the high Aussie dollar. We've then got Damien Drum, the Parliamentary Secretary for Regional and Rural Victoria, also speaking. He's a great friend of Geelong because, of course, he used to play for Geelong. So he'll be enjoying himself back here in his old town of Geelong. And then later on we have Nick Paps, the editor of the Geelong Advertiser, speaking as well. And I think it's the first time that he's actually spoken publicly since taking over as editor of the Geelong Advertiser last year. So that's pretty exciting for us to have Nick as well. And in the middle of all of that, I'll be talking a little bit about G21, the work that we do on behalf of the region, and we'll be launching our new brand.
It's a great honour to be the chair of G21. Ed Copey, who was the chair prior to me, has done a fantastic job, and I can only hope that I do equally as good a job as he has done.
Well, you're getting off to a great start today with this forum. It's been well attended. In fact, I think probably oversubscribed. Yeah, it certainly has been. I think we've got about 130 here today, and there was a waiting list. So look, that's encouraging. You know, we have a strong membership, and it really is encouraging to see people want to come along and just see what G21 does. Well, they certainly will enunciate that this afternoon. For those who are not totally on top of what they do a power of work for the region, don't they?
Well, there's no doubt about that. Look, both at a state and federal level, being a strong region is what it's all about. The city certainly is big enough to operate on its own, but the reality around G21, and that's why we're very, very strong supporters of G21, is going to both state and federal government as a region, and you get far more traction if you do that than if you go on your own. Obviously, Alcoa is going for a review at Point Henry. There's no doubt that if the company's profitable in certain areas, it certainly would probably help a little. But the reality around it all is that this review is a review of the Point Henry smelter and its profitability. So I'm convinced that there's been no decision made on that as yet, and that the review is certainly a review that's done in good faith. So I'm hopeful that the lower Australian dollar and things like that certainly help us within this review.
At the G21 Forum in Geelong, this is Ian Nichols for News Geelong.
Thank you, Ian. The continued development of youth, junior and girls football has been an essential part of the local Geelong footy scene over the past decade, with AFL Victoria Development Manager John Edsall playing a key role. News Geelong spoke with John at the recent launch of the local Geelong and District Football League season. John Edsall joins us on News Geelong. John, an exciting season ahead for 2012, although yours has already started.
Yes, Graham, very early for us. Our under-15 boys played in the V-Line Cup last week, the old schoolboys competition, so it's done and dusted from that point of view for us for the year.
How was the results? Did Geelong go?
Yeah, look, our Divi 1 boys, who won the title the last 2 years, were beaten by Latrobe in a really good game on day 2, but bounced back on day 3 to win again. So 2 out of 3 and finished 3rd overall. And our Divi 2 team, our development squad, we're really pleased with them. They had 2 really competitive losses, and on day 3 had a great win after being stranded out till 10 o'clock on that fiasco with the trains, and got up the next morning at 7, went to Melbourne and had a win. It was fantastic.
And it wasn't only the boys, because one of our focuses, and you've been a key part of that, is the development of girls and women's football in Geelong.
Yeah, look, for the previous 2 years, our youth girls interleague team got to play just a representative match, but this year there were 4 teams from country Victoria participated, and the Geelong girls had a strong win over Hampton in round 1, played Ballarat in the grand final and had a draw. Now, there was no provision for a draw, no extra time, and the powers that be decided they'd determine the result on percentage, and our girls came second. They were a little bit stiff, I reckon.
But on the local scene, you've also been involved in the youth girls competition, the development of it, and now we're going to see further teams in the competition, and Football and Netball Geelong taking over its administration.
Yeah, look, the youth girls competition enters its 4th year. Our organisation has done the groundwork, and the policy is, well, let's now pass that conduct of that competition back to the local authority, in this case Football Geelong. The great thing to come out of it is that after 4 years we've now got an open women's team, and North Geelong have jumped on board as a club. They've been absolutely fantastic in accepting the responsibility for providing a venue, facilities and a coach, and I think that's a great thing for women's football.
And of course, we've got further junior competitions coming up later in this year.
Look, the under-16 Falcons team, they're off to Bendigo next weekend to participate in the state championships, and of course the under-18 boys are off to or already started in the TAC Cup. And on the local scene, there'll be some interleague representative teams from under-13 through to under-16 inclusive. So lots of opportunities for the talented boys of the region to step up a level.
I'll ask you one final question, John. Who's going to win the Bellarine Football League Premiership in 2012?
Good question, Graham. Gee, I reckon it's going to be really, really interesting. On results to date, very hard to say. I think there's a few sides that might step up and surprise a few. A few have been underrated, including my old mob. Queenscliff are going to be hard to beat, though. We'll go with the reigning premiers.
Thank you, John, and well done. As we go to a break on this midweek edition of News Geelong, don't forget you can Twitter us on our Twitter account @NewsGeelong31 with your thoughts and comments. We'll return with more news after this.